Welcome to the debate. When people picture a master negotiator, they usually conjure up an image of a gladiator entering an arena.
No, right, the whole gladiator thing.
Exactly. Someone donning heavy armor, armed with sharp arguments, ready to dominate the room and bend the opponent to their will.
Yeah, it's that classic boardroom warfare mentality. The loudest voice, the sharpest suit, the iron grip on the conversation.
But behavioral psychology is telling us that, well, that gladiator armor is actually your biggest liability. We're looking at a fascinating framework today called Stop Showing Off, which suggests the ultimate power move in bargaining is actually abandoning your need to be in control.
It essentially tells us to drop the armor to foster safety. But the real tension we are tackling today is whether this directive is truly a surrender of control, as the text suggests, or if creating that safety is, paradoxically, a far more sophisticated method of taking control.
Right, and I actually think the framework is asking us to do exactly what it says, like literally let go of the wheel. To create genuine safety, you have to completely abandon your ego.
And I come at it from a different way. I think adopting this prescribed calm, genuine, approachable stance is the ultimate tactic for maintaining absolute control over the interaction. You aren't surrendering the reins. You are just holding them more lightly so the horse doesn't spook.
Well, let's look at why that gladiator routine fails in the first place. The framework explicitly points out that if you try too hard to look sharp or dominate, your counterpart's defenses just go up immediately.
They absolutely do.
They play it safe, they say as little as possible, and boom, you're stuck. So being approachable isn't some trick. It's a necessary surrender. You have to actively abandon the desire to impress if you want them to lower their guard.
I completely agree that trying too hard to look sharp is counterproductive. I mean, the gladiator routine is dead, but if you are deliberately letting go just to get them to talk, we have to ask, is that actually genuine or just a new mask?
Wait, how do you mean?
Well, if a negotiator acts calm and approachable specifically to make the other person lower their guard, to gain an informational advantage, it ceases to be truly genuine.
I see where you're going with this.
Right? It becomes a calculated maneuver. You are engineering a specific emotional response in your counterpart. That is manipulation of the environment, not a surrender to it.
I see why you think that. But let me give you a different perspective. Let's look at the actual mechanism of human interaction. Humans are, incredibly adept at subconsciously detecting incongruence.
Right. The classic gut feeling.
Exactly. If you adopt a calm physical posture but your cognitive intent is still, predatory extraction, that tension is going to leak.
Okay, fair.
If you're just wearing a safe mask, your microexpressions, your tone, and your pacing will give you away. That's why the text insists on the word genuine. The surrender of control has to be an authentic psychological shift, because if it's just a tactic, their radar goes off and their defenses stay up. Taking off the armor requires actual vulnerability.
Wait, so you're saying the vulnerability itself has to be real. But does the vulnerability matter if the end goal is simply to extract what they are thinking?
It absolutely matters because of how this changes the very definition of negotiation. The framework locates the start of the real negotiation at the exact moment the counterpart feels safe enough to share what they really think. That tells us information flow, not dominance, is the true engine here. You cannot force someone to open up. You can only create the conditions where they choose to do so.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you why. Look closely at the phrase, the atmosphere shifts. Who is responsible for that shift?
Well, the person who stops showing off.
Exactly. The negotiator who deliberately alters the emotional temperature of the room is the one truly steering the ship.
I wouldn't call it steering, though.
But it is steering. You are creating a space where they relax and start spilling their true thoughts and constraints, saying everything, while you carefully maintain your calm, guarded position. That is the ultimate form of taking control.
Okay, but
It directly contradicts the idea of giving up the wheel.
I think we're conflating two different things here, setting the stage versus directing the play. When the framework says, not when you take control, it's addressing the overt coercive force we traditionally associate with bargaining.
Right.
The core shift here is moving from extraction to emergence. You aren't mining them for information. You're building a safe environment and letting the information surface on its own.
But setting the stage determines what play can even be performed. By deciding the atmosphere will be calm and approachable, you are dictating the terms of engagement just as surely as the gladiator dictates terms through force.
So let's summarize what we're really looking at. From my vantage point, shedding the in-control persona and embracing genuine approachability is the only way to unstuck a defensive negotiation. It requires profound trust. You have to trust that safety, not dominance, yields results.
And from my perspective, the stop showing off framework brilliantly dismantles the destructive urge to impress, but it doesn't eliminate control. It is the difference between breaking down the front door and casually leaving the keys on the mat.
That's a clever way to put it.
Thanks. I mean, one is loud, one is quiet, but both are designed to get you inside the house. It simply replaces overt dominance with highly subtle, highly effective psychological control.
Which, to be fair, we both agree on at a baseline level. The traditional, ego-driven desire to look sharp reliably causes counterparts to become defensive and withhold information. That mindset guarantees gridlock.
Absolutely. The tension between being authentically approachable and strategically effective is incredibly complex. It suggests there is so much more to explore within the dynamics of psychological safety and bargaining than a surface-level reading might imply.
Indeed. We leave it to you to consider the next time you step into a high-stakes conversation. When you take off the armor and invite someone to speak freely, is that a surrender of your power, or is it the moment you truly take command of the room?